Hi, I'm Judy Litt, and today I have a yin yoga warm-up before exercise or a run, and we're going to get right into it. Hopefully you've already listened to the introduction. So sit down on your mat, legs straight out in front of you, and your feet pointing towards the short end of your mat. Take your palms to either side of your thighs, sit up straight, and then begin to let your head be really heavy. Yin yoga has three principles. One is finding your edge. So you are trying to get to a point where you do feel tension, but not getting to a point of pain. The holds are longer in yin yoga, typically anywhere from 90 seconds to 5 minutes, maybe even longer. We're doing relatively short holds today. And if you feel your muscles tensing anywhere, try and see if you can relax them, even a little bit. We are not strengthening our muscles in yin yoga. We're trying to get into our connective tissue. So our fascia, our tendons, our ligaments, even maybe our bones a little bit. And you will see me glancing at my clock every once in a while. And this practice is also going to get deeply into your hamstrings, your hips, your low back. A lot of people find it really challenging to stay still in poses longer. It's good practice though. How many things in your life do you have to sit with your discomfort? And of course you shouldn't be in discomfort, but there should be some kind of sensation. And go ahead and take your palms to the mat and press into them lightly as you slowly begin to unwind that back. That is slowly coming up. Take your legs out to the side. Come into a tabletop position. You make sure your wrists are under your shoulders and your elbows aren't locked out. Maybe a slight bend in those elbows. And on your next inhale, step forward. So basically a low lunge. This is called dragon in yin yoga. And deeply opens our hip flexors. Something that for most of us get very shortened by all the sitting that we do. And if you watch the intro video and you grabbed a couple of blocks, you may want blocks for the next pose. You may even want blocks for this pose. Keep in this pose, but if you're finding it difficult, go ahead and grab your blocks. You can use them on the lowest level and just put your hands just like this. Might make it a bit more comfortable for you. Also, if your knee is very tender, you can grab a yoga blanket, as I mentioned, also in the intro. And if even that's not comfortable for you, you can take your blocks to the highest height and come right up like this. And you are going to get so much benefits from this, no matter whether you're using props, whether you're not using props. Never ever be afraid to use props. Never let anybody say that you are less than because you have to use a prop. A prop is just a way to bring the ground to you. Now begin to take your hips, your glutes and your hips back so that you're kneeling on one leg. And take the front leg and begin to push it out towards the short end of the mat. And for this, a lot of us will want blocks. It makes it more comfortable. And this is half monkey. Bandit thinks it's half bandit. And if you have splits in your practice, if it feels right to you, if you feel warm enough, I encourage you to go ahead and begin to push that back leg back a little bit, forward leg forward a little bit, coming into a split. You can grab that block, put it under your hips, and support yourself a little bit more. Remember, we're going to the edge, we are not going over the edge. And you can definitely stay in half monkey. Go ahead and push into your hands to lift those hips, dragging that front leg back into our tabletop position. If you use blocks on one side, set them up for the second side. And whichever leg you did not step forward with last time, in my case that is my right leg, go ahead and step forward. This is dragon pose. And you never want to get into the deepest expression of the pose right at the very start. In Yin Yoga, we're using gravity and time to go deeper and deeper. And anytime you feel pain, though, you've gone way too deep, you need to back off. You should never feel pain. Notice if your shoulders are climbing up towards your ears. And if they are, go ahead and just breathe into that. Let them come back down. And go ahead and bring your glutes back up. So you're in a half kneeling position with the front leg extended straight out in front of you. Knee is not locked, little bend in the knee. Take a few breaths here. And feel free to stay in this position, or if you'd like to come into the full expression, full monkey, go ahead. You can have your hands on the blocks. You can grab that block, put it underneath your hips. Trying to have a nice straight spine. And you are definitely going to feel some sensation in this pose if you're going for full monkey. And even if you're in half monkey, you're probably feeling a really good stretch down your hamstring. Next inhale, push into your hands to lift your hips. Slowly drag that front foot back. Go ahead and take your blocks off to the side, but you might want to have them within reach. You may need to grab one. Come back into a tabletop position. Hips over knees, shoulders over wrist, elbows are slightly bent. Curl your back toes under. Inhale, exhale, begin to straighten those legs. Come into downward dog, which is not a yin pose, but it's a nice transition pose for one of our few standing poses in Yin Yoga. And just go ahead and really deeply bend your knees almost to the mat. And then see if you can straighten them and see if you feel a little bit more spaciousness after doing that. On your next inhale, walk your feet to meet your hands. Feet are about hip width apart and just dangle over your feet. And that is exactly the name of this pose, dangling. Remember, we started out in caterpillar, which is basically this exact pose, just sitting on the mat. And slowly begin to roll up. And then take your feet out as wide as the mat. Turn them slightly to face either side of the mat. Inhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart in prayer position. Exhale. Inhale, begin to bend your knees. You might want to grab a block for this. You can always put a block underneath your glutes to help you be more comfortable in this pose. This is a really great pose for our calves, for our ankles. It's not easy for a lot of people. It's not easy for me. It's taken a lot of practice for me. And sometimes I need a lot of warming up or my feet do not stay on the mat, and that's okay. You can always take that blanket and you can roll it up and you can put it underneath your feet. And so we're pressing hand into hand and elbows into knees. Not really muscling them open, but just bringing awareness into the fact that we want them open. And we want a nice straight spine. In yoga, we emphasize a straight spine so we can breathe easier. You go ahead and take your hands to the mat, and then slowly bring your knees to the mat. Feet come out to the side. Soles of the feet come down to the mat. Most likely you do not need the blocks anymore. Knees point up to the ceiling, and then very slowly roll yourself down onto the mat. Walk your feet a little closer to your hips. Inhale, go ahead and grab one leg, your right leg, pull it in towards the right shoulder. And you could stay right here if you'd like. This is half happy baby. Or you can take the left leg in towards your shoulder. This is full happy baby. If you're in half happy baby, I will let you know when it's time to change legs. If you're in half happy baby, go ahead and switch legs. And you also do not need to be holding your feet. You could be holding your ankles, you could be holding a little further up your shins. You could be using a strap around your feet, whatever works for you. Notice any tension in your shoulders and your arms. See if you can just relax a little bit there. And go ahead and release that right foot to the mat. And then the left. Go ahead and straighten one leg out on your mat, letting it fall open, and then the other. Arms could be down by your thighs. They could be out in a T if that's comfortable for you. If you have the space. And it's our final pose, Savasana, corpse pose. It may seem like we're doing nothing, but we are really taking in our practice, bringing in balance, letting our whole nervous system just reap the awards of this practice. Go ahead and let your breathing deepen. You can always feel free to pause this video and stay longer in Savasana. I actually encourage that if you have the time, but if not, you begin to wiggle your feet, fingers and your toes. Maybe making small circles with your wrists and your ankles one way and the other. Reaching up over your head and pointing your toes. Nice big stretch. Move any part of your body that feels like it needs to be moved. Bring one knee into your chest and the other. Squeeze yourself up into a little bowl. And then let your knees fall down. Your outstretched hand cradles your head. Take a couple of breaths here. And then press into your hands, slowly pushing yourself up into an easy seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this felt great for you. It's a very little taste of Yin Yoga, and I'd love for you to notice how you feel after this practice. Do you feel a little bit more spaciousness? How do you feel side to side? Just notice, and notice tomorrow how you feel. If you're going for a run, notice if maybe that run feels a little bit easier, maybe a tiny bit faster. Thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.